Yes. Dear students, today we are going to start with the fifth chapter of It So Happened, that is Princess September. Very nice story, very good story, and it is like of kings and the stories usually children like. And as the title shows, it is Princess September. It is about a princess whose name is September. This Princess September, like each one of her numerous sisters, receives the gift of a parrot in a golden cage on her father's birthday. The parrot dies, and by chance, a singing bird comes in its place. The princess shows off her pet to the sisters who advise her to put him in a cage. So this chapter is about the relation of princess and the nature. We can say it tells us about the value of nature, it tells us about the relation of other creatures on earth with the human beings. It tells about other values also, which we learn when we read the chapter. So let's start the chapter, reading the chapter. The king and queen of Siam had many daughters, and the queen said that it confused her to have to remember so many names. Now, this king and queen of Siam, they were having many daughters, and queen says that it confused her to remember so many names. One day, the king decided to call them January, February, March, and so on. Means he named the girls, he named his daughters by months only, till he came to the youngest, whom he called September. And September, King, this Princess September, about whom we are going to read this chapter, she was the youngest one. The king of Siam had a peculiar habit. Instead of receiving gifts on his birthday, he gave them. Now, you need to go on marking, as you know that you should be very much clear about the very minute descriptions or other details of the chapter, other facts in the chapter. So one but a peculiar habit of this king was that he had a peculiar habit. Usually, we like to have gifts on our birthdays. We also love gifts. So instead of receiving gifts on his birthday, he gave them. He used to give birthday gifts on his birthday to others. One year on his birthday, not having anything else handy, he gave each of his daughters a green parrot in a golden cage. One year he gave a parrot in the golden cage to all his daughters, to each daughter. The princesses were very proud of their parrots, and they spent an hour every day in teaching them to talk. And you know that these parrots, they can imitate the speaking of human beings. They speak like some phrases, sentences, and some are so experts that they can even talk to or respond to human conversation. Presently, now these girls, they used to spend hours with those parrots, talking to them, guiding them, training them. Presently, all the parrots could say, God save the king. जैसे हम विश करते हैं, तो usually they learn. Now all these parents, they learn, God save the king means भगवान हमारे राजा की रक्षा करें. और यहाँ जिसे हम कहते हैं live long the king, कहते हैं we wish should be. And some of them could say pretty Polly in no less than 7 Oriental languages and different languages. They could say pretty Polly. Another slogan. Now, but one day, when Princess September went to say good morning to her parrot, she found it lying dead at the bottom of its golden cage. One day she found, Princess September found that her parrot was dead. She burst into flood of tears, and nothing that her maids of honor could say comforted her. Nothing could comfort her, nothing could relax her. She cried so much that maids of honor, not knowing what to do, told the queen, and the queen said it was stuff and nonsense, and the child had better go to bed without any supper. Supper means meals. But when these girls, these princesses, her sisters. They went to Queen and told her about her condition. She just said it is nonsense. Please hardly bother about it, and asked them to go to bed, even though she didn't take any supper, any meals. The maids of honor. Maids of honor is the main honor, head of the maids, wanted to go to a party. So they put Princess September to bed as quickly as they could and left her by herself. Now the maids also, if the parents are not bothering, if Queen didn't bother, the maids of honor, she also left the child, left the that sweet girl without meals. And while she lay in her bed, crying still, even though she felt rather hungry, she saw a little bird hop into her room. And usually it happens that we are not having stomach full or we haven't taken dinner, so we can't sleep. For good sleep, you should have your full stomach full. She wiped her tears and sat up. Suddenly, what she saw, she was unable to sleep because she was feeling hungry. She saw a little bird hop into her room. उसने अपने रूम में एक छोटा सा bird देखा. It was hopping, jumping here and there. She wiped her tears and sat up, and that affected her. Then the little bird began to sing, and he sang a beautiful song all about the lake in the king's garden and willow trees that looked at themselves in the still water, the goldfish that glided in and out of the branches that were reflected in it. When he had finished, the princess was not crying. Now, when this bird, you know that in fiction and stories, the author can use or he can characterize, he can make use of the personification, as I told you. No? So in stories, the birds, they can talk, they can speak like human beings. Now here we come to know that this little bird began to sing and he sang a beautiful song. He sang a beautiful song all about the nature in the surrounding, in King's garden, willow trees that looked at themselves in the still water, the goldfish and all. All he described to her, and she was fascinated. She liked it. The princess was not crying anymore, and she quite forgot that she had had no supper. इतना उसको अच्छा लगा, उसका सॉन्ग इतना सुंदर लगा, इतना मेलोडियस लगा कि उसने ये भी भूल गई that she had not taken anything or she was hungry. That was a very nice song, she said. The little bird gave her a bow. Would you care to have me in place of your parrot? Now see, we can't say that how this little bird came to know about the princess. He might have been observing or usually coming to her, or he told her. The little bird gave her a bow, means little banding. Honor से उससे बात करते हुए, would you care to have me? Means would you like to have me in the place of your parrot? Said the little bird. It's true that I am not so pretty to look at, but on the other hand, I have a much better voice. I am not so pretty, so beautiful as your parrot, but good looking as your parrot, but I have much better voice. Naturally, that bird was having very melodious voice. Princess September clapped her hands with delight. Delight was very happy. It is a high level of happiness. And then the little bird hopped on to the end of her bed and sang her to sleep. The Princess September clapped her hands with delight, and then the little bird hopped on to the end of her bed and sang her to sleep. Means he went on singing for her and she went to sleep quietly. When she awoke next day, the little bird was still there. And as she opened her eyes, he said, "Good morning." The maids of honor brought in her breakfast, and he ate rice out of her hand. When breakfast was served to her, she shared the rice with the bird, and he had his bath in her saucer. Saucer is a bit of plate under the cup. Cups and plate में हम जो use करते हैं, the bottom in the below the cup is saucer. So he had a bath, means he danced in her saffron. He began to sing again so beautifully that the maids of honor were quite surprised, for they had never heard anything like it. And Princess September was very proud and happy. Now I want to show you to my 8 sisters, said the princess. She stretched out the first finger of her right hand so that it served as a perch, and the little bird flew down and sat on it. You can see in the picture that how she took that bird to the, we are having a picture here, how she handled the, this is the pose that is described here. Now, she stretched out the first finger of her right hand so that it served as a perch, means a place to sit, and the little bird flew down and sat on it. Then, followed by her maids of honor, she went through the palace and called on each of the princesses. And for each of them, the little bird sang a different song. But the parrots could only say, God save the king and Pretty Polly, as they were trained. Now this bird, little bird, he sang not only about that princess, but the other princesses different songs. At last, she showed the little bird to the king and the queen. They were surprised and delighted. They were also happy with that bird. I knew I was right to send you to bed without any supper, said the queen. Now she justified that why but it was not intentionally, rather. So she said, I knew I was right to send you to bed without supper. But usually we see that mothers are very careful, mothers are always very concerned. But here somewhere we can see the smartness of the queen, or rather the careless attitude towards her princesses, that she didn't bother whether the girl, that girl in sorrow, she hadn't taken her sorry, her supper or so. But here she just smartly justified herself. But it was not so. This bird sings much better than the parrot, said the king. I should have thought you got quite tired of hearing people say, God save the king, said the king. I can't think why those girls wanted to teach their parrot to say it so. Means she wanted other girls also to make their parents learn new things. The sentiment is admirable, said the king, and I never mind how often I hear it. But I do get tired of hearing those parrots saying pretty Polly. Now the king also, he appreciated the songs of this little bird. They say it in 7 different languages, said the princesses. Now princesses, they justify themselves. Means sometime, many times we have read in the stories that usually the courtiers or other people try to flatter the king for their personal purposes. So these princesses also, they tried to flatter the king. They were trying to buttering the king in a way. I dare say they so, said the king, but it reminds me too much of my counselors. He also mentions that usually my counselors, my courtiers, they flatter me in this way. So I feel, sometimes I feel boring about it. They say the same thing in 7 different ways, and it never means anything in any way they say it. It hardly matter to me when I feel like flattering in someone's address. The princesses were vexed at this, so they were displeased. When the king, he did not appreciate their effort, the princesses were vexed at it. Somewhere they were feeling disappointed, and the parrots looked very glum indeed. But Princess September ran through all the rooms of the palace, singing like a lark, another bird, singing bird, while the little bird flew round and round her, singing like a nightingale. You can just imagine that she is dancing in the palace, and the little bird, he is hoping near about her, or he was just flying around her, around the princess, singing beautiful songs. Things went on like this for several days. And then the 8 princesses put their heads together. Now, this phrase, put their heads together, suggests that they thought about or they planned something. You know, the jealousy factor is common in human nature. चाहे वो हमारा blood relation हो, चाहे हमारा वो professional relation हो, कुछ भी हो, कभी ना कभी ये हम पे हावी हो ही जाता है. So these sisters also, they were feeling jealous. They went to September and sat down in a circle round her. My poor September, they said, we are sorry for the death of your beautiful parrot. It must be dreadful for you not to have a pet bird as we have. So we have all put our pocket money together and we are going to buy you a lovely green and yellow parrot. Now they tried to just persuade this Princess September to go for a parrot. Thank you for nothing, said September. I have a pet bird which sings the most charming songs to me, and I don't know what on earth I should do with the green and yellow parrot. But she just refused their proposal. Well, my dear, they said, it is absurd to talk to your top of your bird when the little fellow flies in and out just as he likes. He said didn't like the bird flying freely in the palace. They looked around the room and raised their eyebrows in frown, just frowning, showing attitude. Do you mind asking where your bird is now? They said. He has gone to pay a visit to his father-in-law, said Princess September. Again, assumption, imagination, use of imagination that this princess or these birds they have family or he had gone to father-in-law to visit his father-in-law. And what makes you think he will come back? Asked the princess. Now another. See, the brains are huge. Human beings are they can't escape using their brains worthlessly. He always does come back. Means they just try to make this princess, this innocent princess, doubtful about the return of the bird. And what make you think that he will come back? He always does come back. Then, my dear, said the 8 princesses, if you will take our advice, you won't run any risk like that. Means she advised her not to take any risk. If he comes back, and mind you, if he does, you will be lucky. Pop him into the cage and keep him there. That's the only way you can be sure of him. So in this part of the chapter, we come to know about the queen, that careless attitude or pessimism of this queen that she hardly bothered. Then we come to know about the jealous nature. Here you get the description of the princess. It means you should be clear about all the characters, that how they try to just dissuade this girl, just try to persuade this girl that she should not carry. Because why they felt jealous? Because then they found that the king himself, he just appreciated the songs, different songs of the or appreciated the singing of this bird, melodious sound voice of this bird. Well, my dear, said the 8 princesses. Means they are trying again and again. They are just conspiring. If you will take our advice, you won't run any risk like that. If he comes back, and mind you, means keep in mind, if he does, you will be lucky. Pop him into the cage and keep him there. That's the only way you can be sure of him. Means here they motivate her to keep that beautiful, that melodious bird in the cage. But I like to have him fly about the room because he was very small, beautiful bird. So she liked liked him to fly in the room freely. Safety first, said her sisters ominously. They got up and walked out of the room, shaking their heads, and they left September very uneasy. Means somewhere it came into the mind of this little princess that she might lose this bird. So here, Vita, you are having the comprehension check part 1. Now second part. It seemed to Princess September that her little bird had been away a long time. Now, when naturally you are aware of something, when you are conscious about something, and you wait desperately for something, that time stretches. It is not psychology, rather it is reason. Some logic is also there. You can anytime you can try. That the moment, the time which is joyful, it passes very quickly, and it is very short. It seemed to Princess now she's having in her mind she's having the thought whatever these princesses try to persuade you. It seemed to Princess September that her little bird had been away for a long time. आज का दिन उसे बहुत लंबा लगा कि आज तो उसने बहुत time लगा दिया. Something might have happened to him, but now she is concerned. What with hawks and the snails, we never knew what trouble he might get into. She started naturally. When we are negative, we started thinking negative thoughts. Besides, he might forget her, or he might take a fancy to somebody else. Different negative thoughts were coming. Means he was hurt somewhere, or he might forget her or leave her, he might be thinking of leaving her. That would be dreadful. But she could not expect that. She did not want that. She wished he were safely back again. Now, because whenever we wish, we always use with the singular, with I, with he, we use were when we wish. I wish I were. So that uses there means he wished. She wished he were safely back again. Now she just prayed to God that he should come back safely. Suddenly September heard a tweet tweet just behind her ear, and she saw the little bird sitting on her shoulder. She saw that he was sitting on her, hopping on her shoulder. He had come in so quietly and alighted so softly that she had not heard. I wondered what on earth had become of you, said the princess. I thought you had wandered that, said the little bird. The fact is, I very nearly didn't come back tonight at all. My father-in-law was giving a party and they all wanted me to stay. But I thought you would be anxious, means he was also caring. Under the circumstances, this was a very unfortunate remark for the little bird to make. Means she had been waiting, but no doubt he came late. But when he told him that his father-in-law wanted him to stay, or he might have stayed there, again, Princess September, she felt her heart go thump against her chest, which she was feeling very bad, and she made up her mind to take no more risk. Means today she decided that she won't let this bird go away. She put her hand and took hold of the bird. The bird suspected nothing. Bird was not thinking about, he was not having anything in mind. And he was so surprised when she carried him over to the cage, popped him and shut the door on him that for a moment he could think of nothing to say. But the little bird, he was surprised when this beautiful princess, she popped him in the cage and shut the door. He could think of nothing to say, but in a moment or two, he hopped up to the ivory perch and said, "What is the joke? What the hell you are doing, little princess?" "There is no joke," said September, "but some of Mama's cats are crawling about tonight. And I think you are much safer in there." Now reason she gives, how she justifies this action. She says that the queen's cats were crawling about tonight. They were in the palace open, and she think that he was not safe outside. So she has put him in the cage. Well, just for this once. I don't mind, said the little bird, so long as you let me out in the morning. So anyway, he thought that she would let him out in the morning. He ate a very good supper and then began to sing. But in the middle of his song, he stopped. I don't know what is the matter with me, he said, but I don't feel like singing tonight. First, he takes supper and he tried to sing for the princess. But in the middle of the song, he stopped. He said, I don't feel like singing tonight. मेरा आज मन नहीं कर रहा है गाने को. I very well, said September, go to sleep instead. So princess here, he asked him to go to sleep. It doesn't matter that if he doesn't sing. So here in this part of the chapter, we come to know that how this little princess, she was persuaded, or we can say that she just agreed to her sister's idea, or somewhere that innocent princess, she just got this idea that she should keep this little bird in the cage. But we will read in the next part of the chapter, we will read that how this condition, or this keeping this bird in the cage, make the little bird, make this bird miserable. So we'll continue with the next part tomorrow.